What's up guys, welcome into another episode of Timekeepers, a show about dope watches. Today we're talking about my all-time favorite SEVENFRIDAY watch, and I've worn this watch in several hundred videos, if not a few thousand videos over the last few years, so I'm really stoked to finally be able to feature this piece in this series. Now while this watch is undoubtedly one of the simpler watches in my collection, there's a few reasons why this watch ends up being my daily driver more often than not. I'm Adam the Orlando Drummer, and today we're talking all about SEVENFRIDAY's P2B02. Let's get into it. Now, full disclosure, this watch is not in mint condition, not at all really, because I've genuinely worn it way too much for that to even be possible at this point. So please excuse some of the minor scuffs and dings on her. I promise if you buy a brand new one, it will look a lot better than mine. So first, let's get some main specs out of the way. This watch comes in at 47mm by 47.6mm, which in the watch world is considered somewhat large, but it's closer to an average size for a SEVENFRIDAY. It does feel somewhat lighter on the wrist compared to similar models that I own, but I think the entire P series from SEVENFRIDAY falls right in that sweet spot where they're heavy enough to let you know that it's a high quality watch, but light enough that you can forget you're wearing it sometimes. And as a drummer, the weight of a watch is one of those things that can make it really difficult to play with, but this watch gives me no trouble at all. Now, a ton of the surfaces of this watch have a PVD coating, and I actually had to Google this because I had never heard of PVD coatings before. So PVD stands for physical vapor deposition, and this is the name of the chemical process by which a small layer of particles are bound to a surface, creating this specialized coating. So PVD coatings are actually not as common as you'd think because the process is pretty difficult to do. It involves bonding particles, again, to the surface of the watch body. So in this case, the P2B02 isn't just painted black, it's chemically treated steel, and that gives it a crazy amount of durability. And not only is it more durable than just normal paint, but it also gives us this really unique, kind of that soft matte texture. Some of the exterior gold features of the watch are also treated with PVD using a sandblasting method. Genius. Like all SEVENFRIDAYs, this watch features an NFC chip which can be scanned on Android phones using the SEVENFRIDAY app. The P2B02 is powered by a Miyota 82S7 engine, and it features a 40-hour power reserve, so you never have to worry about watch batteries. Now, there are a lot more nerdy specs that we can cover, but if you're like me, the aesthetics are just way more fun to talk about, and in my humble opinion, this watch is absolutely beautiful. The P series from SEVENFRIDAY in general is undoubtedly one of the signature SEVENFRIDAY looks, and I think it's one of the more recognizable designs from the whole company. But unlike some of this watch's predecessors, I think the P2B02 offers a much more modern design within the P series. If we compare this watch to some other popular P series models like the P2B01 or the P1B01, we have a little bit more of a vintage influence in those models. But the P2B02 has this sleek, hyper-modern vibe that I really like. It just feels like it's from the future. Now, the inspiration for this watch's design is actually somewhat vintage, as it's based around bank vault doors dating back to the Industrial Revolution. And a quick Google search will show you some crazy vintage bank vaults, and I think SEVENFRIDAY's interpretation of these designs was really well done. The P2B02 features a 5-level interface, which gives the design some serious depth and allows for a lot of different textures throughout the design. For the most part, this is a matte black colored watch, but we have a lot of these softer gold highlights happening. You can also find some smoky and more gunmetal colors towards the center of the discs. Now, for the most part, I'm not really a gold guy. It just feels too flashy for me. I've also been to Miami way too many times, so gold is just kind of out for me most of the time. But the gold in this watch is pretty understated, and I really like how non-reflective the gold itself is in this design. This understated gold is most apparent in that groove that sort of encases the interface. It's almost like a matte gold, and it doesn't feel overly flashy or Miami at all. Sorry, Miami, you're fine. Just way too expensive and flashy, and I don't like Miami. So while we're on colors, another really cool detail can be found in the hour hand, which is filled with super Luminova. That word sounds awesome. Now, Super Luminova is really bright, and technically this is the brightest part of the watch. And I thought it was really smart to draw some attention to the part of the watch that you are most likely to look at first when you're checking the time. I find this model to be particularly easy to read, and I really love that we can see just the slightest amount of movement on that lowest layer of the watch. It's another one of those understated details that makes this watch so cool. Now, while this strap that I have on the watch now has been worn out quite a bit, I do love the feel and the look of this strap. It's made of high quality calfskin, so it's a really soft, comfortable leather, and the black stitching adds to that murdered out, matte black modern look. So for me, this watch is a daily driver for a few reasons. If you're someone who values versatility, it doesn't get much better than this. I've worn this watch in a full suit to weddings. I've also worn it with a tank top and shorts out to the beach, though that one is not highly recommended. But seriously, some mornings I have a hard time picking any watch other than this one because it just melts into any outfit that you're going for, any look that you're going for. Now, if I had to give this watch a home base in terms of aesthetics, I'd say it does fall closer to the dressy side. I could see this watch being worn by like a James Bond type of character. It's understated enough to be worn by somebody who has the confidence to not scream for attention in their look, but classy enough to impress those who have an eye for fashion and style and dope watches. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Timekeepers, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Adam here, the Orlando drummer, and I will catch you in the next one. Later.